If you're starting an e-commerce brand and ignore these 12 rules, you are burning time and cash. I started and built a multi-million-dollar e-com business, and we did everything the hard way. And what I learned from that and watching my friends who were the most successful were these 12 things. First, pick a product that has a repeatable purchase or a subscription or is a consumable or all of the above. Customer acquisition is expensive, and once you acquire a customer, it's significantly easier to sell them something again rather than find a new customer. You don't want to be in the customer acquisition business. You want to be in the lifetime value business. Lifetime value is a key metric that tells you on average how much a customer will spend at your store over what period of time. Second, you want a massive TAM. This is the total addressable market. Think categories like beds, daily vitamins, glasses, shoes, food, categories where large amounts of people need your product. This is slightly different than the riches and niches idea, where you should focus on a small segment of people and grow from there. Look at some of the biggest companies that get the most awareness and raise the most money and have the biggest exits. Schmidt's Natural Deodorant sold for $100 million. Billy Skincare and Hero Cosmetics sold for $300 million. Purple Mattress Company, $1.2 billion. Ghost Energy Drink, $1 billion. Siete Mexican American Food, $1.2 billion. Tiki Pets, $1.5 billion. And recently gut-friendly soda company Poppi sold for $2 billion. Third, small packaging and lightweight shipping. USPS is ideal here. I ship a product that is 1 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot, and let me tell you, it's not cheap. Pick something small, super small. Ideally something you can ship USPS and it costs you like $1. Think earbuds or AirPods or a small food item. You want small size and lightest weight possible, because you're going to ship this at least twice. Once from your factory to the warehouse and again from the warehouse to the customer. And if you have returns, you're shipping it back. If you have a co-packer, you're shipping it between them. If you're in retail, you're shipping it around to them. And all of a sudden, the product that you thought you had great margins on is eaten away by shipping costs. Fourth, you want a high AOV. That's short for average order value, at least $100 or more. You want something that people are spending a decent amount of money on, either the single product or the total cart value of items that they're buying. The more, the merrier. Higher average order value means more money for your business to survive. Pair it with a great landed margin of at least 80% and you've got a winning combination. This is very counterintuitive to the normal person. When they find out that you're charging 4 to 6 times what it costs you to manufacture at your factory and get it shipped to your warehouse, people tend to freak out. But the reality is you need to have an 80% margin when the product lands at your warehouse. That means if your product costs you $20, you need to charge at least $100 for it. Fifth, people want it. You want something that you post on TikTok and it absolutely cooks right away. You don't want to be striving, pushing, begging, pleading people to buy your product. You want it to just work, which does take work, but also there are signals for something when it's working. Sixth, unfair distribution. Is your best friend a buyer at Costco, or are you dating the daughter of the Target co-founder? Do you have an in somewhere? It's time to start something. The more you look into successful businesses, the more you find people who have unfair advantages, and it's time to exploit yours if you have one. Seventh, stateside manufacturing. I manufacture overseas because I have to, and in general, it's difficult to manufacture things in America because we're not a manufacturing powerhouse. And it's going to take decades to turn us back into that. Even though the current administration is forcing tariffs to try to make it happen, it's going to be a long and painful road. I digress. Waiting months for product to be developed overseas and then 30 to 60 days to be shipped is painful. Freight prices are all over the place. If you remember the Suez Canal debacle, I paid over 10x what I normally paid for a container. I highly suggest you look at something that can be manufactured here in the United States. Eighth, a proven market. Creating a category of an entirely new product is cool and sexy, but it's also super hard. Look up the book Play Bigger if you want to learn more about category creation. I highly recommend it, and I love doing this. I've done this in my own businesses. However, it is super difficult. I highly recommend that you pick something that's already verified. You make it better, you make it sexier, you make some small change, but nothing insane. Once you've made your money, you've had an exit, you have cash flow coming in, then you can take a big swing at the entirely new category. And ideally, you do it with other people's money. The big thing about category creation is that you have to educate the customers on this category that you've created. Whereas verified markets already have the education, and now you're just bringing something with a slight twist, slightly new, slightly improved. They already have the understanding. Socks is a really great example. Everyone knows what socks are. Everyone loves socks. Everyone needs socks. And so if you make a sock that's a little bit better, maybe you found a new material, maybe its sweat wicks a little bit better, maybe it works well in warm or cold weather. People generally have a baseline understanding of what that is. Whereas if you're creating an entirely new product, one of my friends started a countertop composting company, and he said that it has been extremely difficult educating people on the problem and then their solution for the problem. Now, if you read the book Play Bigger, you'll find that this is actually a great position of power to put your company in. However, the education part can be very difficult to overcome. Ninth is a verified founder who's done this before. Think about the founder of RX Bar, starting David Protein. There's all sorts of information from people talking about how you need to be careful about how you pick your co-founders because it's like a marriage. You're going to be getting in bed with them, you're going to be with them for the long term, and you need to know that you can communicate effectively and argue well, and that you also have complementary skill sets. I think one of the other huge things that not a lot of people are talking about is that if you can, find a founder who's done this before and they're coming back around for their second or third round. Someone who has reps in your space or industry. This is a major hack and a shortcut to finding success. Even if the tables are drastically in their favor, I'm talking like 80-20, it's still a great bet for you. The knowledge and validation that they bring is priceless. If you want to raise money, all of the investors are going to be significantly more likely to fund you because this founder already has a win in this space and knows how to do it. So they're mitigating a ton of risks of investing. 10th, and this is non-traditional, sit on the idea for a year to validate it. I got this from a founder who's running an extremely fast-growing 9-figure business. He waited a full year before launching. Don't rush, have fun, play around. When you rush, you lose the spark. I would focus on becoming an idea-generating machine, thinking of all sorts of things on a regular basis, and then spending time every couple of weeks to test and validate some of the ideas before going all in. Wealth does not rush. 11th, create a great brand. This goes without saying, people love a pretty brand. Method and all of the other companies that are dropping new brands in traditional markets with nearly the same product are absolutely dominating. 12th, last but not least, you want to make sure that there are lots of acquisitions in the category that you're going into. This is great if you want investors or if you want to sell someday and have a stellar multiple. You need to find a market that has good traction in it, otherwise getting a big exit becomes a big problem. Caveat to all of this, of course, there are companies that break these paradigms all the time. But if this is your first go around, make it a little easier on yourself and take a swing at something a little more certain. Entrepreneurship is a game of risk, so you want to de-risk your venture as much as possible. Now, if you want to know more about this or starting a company or launching an idea, you can check out my community, Launch Your Idea, to learn more and to work directly with me to figure out how to validate your idea and launch your business. We'll see you over there.